bar. It is cutting in and out. Lovely. Might be more than 2 minutes while I get a different microphone. Thanks. What is going on? Tremendously exciting. It's the little things on Wednesday. I feel like we might have a storm blowing in, which is also like maybe delightful. I don't know.
First the crow, now the storm.
First the crow. For those who weren't at the workshop, we had a crow join our workshop quite vociferously. It was very vocal, very amazing nature. Okay, welcome to Blue Hour. I want to start tonight with a land and labor acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that this event is being hosted on the unceded traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, and Fox, also called this area home. This region has long been a center for Indigenous people to gather, trade, and maintain kinship ties. Today, one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States resides right here in Chicago, continuing to contribute to the vitality of this city and to celebrate their heritage, practice traditions, and care for the land and waterways. We invite you to explore the unceded homelands on which we find ourselves, both those of us here and those joining by live stream. Hello, folks at home. We want to take a moment as we head into this space of creative expression and exploration to honor all those who came before us, the Indigenous peoples displaced by colonization, as well as those who built this country through uncompensated and compulsory labor, those enslaved and those oppressed. We honor those who came before and all those who continue to live on this land as we hold this shared space for art and expression. So this space is hosted by the Chicago Poetry Center. At the CPC, we believe that poetry illuminates our individual and shared humanity, fueling thriving lives and healthy communities. Our mission is to connect people in poetry equitably engage poets with communities, and foster creative literacy in this city and beyond. We envision and work to create a fair and verdant world rooted in artistic expression, human connection, and boundless imagination. We have a whole series of programs, including Blue Hour, Queen Z's Poetic Adventures, which is a digital classroom on demand for kids in 3rd to 5th grade, as well as poetry residencies in Chicago Public Schools. You can find out about all of that, as well as our Critical Conversations at Work anti-racism program in the back. Okay, that's my commercial portion of the announcements. Couple things about Blue Hour, we do a workshop before each of these. It sells out, so register early. We will close out this season next month. It's the 3rd Wednesday of every month that we do this. Next month we will have C.M. Burroughs and Eugenia Lee. So be sure to show up for that. And then stay tuned, because in July we will have our annual summer poetry gathering, which is going to be a big bash blowout. If you were here for No Love for Love in February, you will understand how the Poetry Center gets down in this space. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so our open mic is going to include 5 readers drawn randomly from the welcoming jar here. I feel like it sets the tone for really like risk, health and risk. You know, it's okay to touch it. Yeah. So I also, in this moment and throughout tonight, I want to encourage you to self-care. If you need to step out for air or a break, please do so. There's water in the back, restrooms down the hallway, and this one's in my hand. So let's do this. Maritza. All right.
Okay, so this is my first time ever reading any of my work. So please be kind. This is titled Chemo. Impatient patients, awaiting sedation, but very patient to stay on this earth. Freckles but no sun, freckles but no fun, wishing that they could run. Eager to sleep, eager to leave, what does it mean to grieve? Longing stares that lead nowhere, they go from head to toe. Coffee and snacks and multiple bags, this is death row. They talk about her illness like it's a secret everyone knows but no one can fully spill. They bite their tongues as they use them to turn back time, to reminisce of a life where illness was a neighbor, an ancient relative, or a so-and-so I know from somewhere else. In between memories, their words become synchronized hymns only he can answer, El Gran Señor. Their whispers swirl into their mugs as they swallow anxiety and coffee. They dilute the truth to passive thoughts and mere prayer, one cup at a time. So this is a different piece, not related to that one. This is titled Monarchs. To witness your parents water themselves after uprooting their whole lives and watch them naturally wither as time does what it does. It becomes more difficult to knowingly accept that we are only and lonely seeds carried in ancestral winds on my parents' wings. And in this garden, we must learn to tend to ourselves, to find the most light but not burn, to drink enough water but not drown, to flourish on earth before we root ourselves underground. And this is the last one. Love is experiencing loss in real time. It is noting brief moments, the lack of permanence. Not because the love you feel won't last, but because you know that loving them in this lifetime is not actually forever. You fall asleep next to the same person for years. You watch their top lashes meet their bottom lashes, and when you wake up, it's not always face to face, but you wake up and they are there. Or maybe downstairs fetching coffee, and while the aroma of coffee heightens your senses, you know you are alive, together, right here, right now, but not for long.
accidental tradition of having people on this open mic who've never read on an open mic before. So incredibly delightful. And also, I forgot to mention, we're gonna ask everybody to read one poem or 3 minutes, whichever comes first. So no harm, no foul. I didn't announce that. All right, let's see who's next. So many people signed up. Makes me so happy. All right. Julian Randall.
I've only been performing for about a year and a half now, but I was a slam poet since back in high school. I'm trying to get published. I don't believe in self-publishing, but I'm trying. This is about when you have a friend who's been always there in your life, but something just never coincided, right? It's not really someone that got away, but it's just, you have to be at peace with it. This is called The Shepherd. Damn, I'm getting emotional. So, clear heart waving, bonnet keeping secrets, disclose at headdress and undress, a warning of torment to befall. She, skin of stars, oracle of truth that paints embrace, arbiter of truth, at times unheard, and I at the swell of compunction, never led astray by these gentle hands, and yet I dove straight into red banners. Once and again to crawl myself in pieces to thee. Misconnections, ill-fated, or star-crossed. Time and coincidence out of sync. Always clawing at time and sin. Capricious lips, careless for consequence. In acceptance of impossibility. Visionary outcome out of reach. Binary choice cares not for gray. Not quite friends, yet nevermore. Red string tug and lining of gown, dressed in white, another lifetime. Thank you. I've been moving all my stuff to, my Instagram is at Pilsen Poet. Yeah, I can't believe that name wasn't taken either.
I know. All right, give it up for Julian. Nice. Make these little slips smaller. John Woolwine.
I'm going to read a poem that's heavily influenced by a poem by Isabel Zapata called Reasons Not to Step on a Snail. And this poem is called Reasons Why I Dream of Bees. Because their honey blends all the milkweed and lavender. Because the queen eats and sleeps all day. Because they tickle my elbow with their toes. Because they dance like me with only their shoulders. Because they never buzz inside my ears like flies. Because when they are sprinkled with pollen, they look like little sheep. Because one stung me in 3rd grade, and I didn't cry all day, only at night. Because their dance is a spiral of mathematics. Because honey preserved the wine of the ancients. Because they were molded from tears and sand. Because one sting more could mean death. Because I witnessed its resurrection in a bell jar. And because I have always wanted to fly, but only past the trees.
It's gonna be summer. It's so exciting. All right, let's see. Ola Filippi.
I was so engrossed, I didn't have my, okay, I need a moment, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so this is a poem, I feel like I need to catch my breath, hold on. I don't know why I'm breathless. Okay. This is a poem about a place I love very much, and it's called Bluster. Talking shit, like you know about cracked knuckles and flamin' hots with pickle juice, or the broken heat lamps on the L, or getting high off a lakefront. Yesterday, I counted every duck at the lake and called them my woes. By hook, by crook, by crooked alderman, you learn that the trap that stays shut is the trap that starves. No one will beat or bite this place out of me. Not by the skin of their enameled teeth, not by the potholes on every major street, not by the 312, not by the school closures, not by the crack of a July thunder. Like being at the taste and getting flooded by rain, all that muddy, all that moist. Bluster. What y'all do best. Remember, when you were little and other kids hit you and your mom said to hit them back, well, bring your ass down here. Come stand in our hit back. Thank you.
I was unprepared for that ending.
Both emotionally and physically. All right, one more reader in our open mic, and then we'll move right into our featured readers. I'm just like, I know, right? Drum roll, you have a drummer. Drum roll. Willie. Hey.
It's not meant for tall people. This is also about a place I love. It's called Baptized Wind. The levees broke and they tried to bury us, but didn't know we were seeds. Not my story, but powerful. I love holy words, even the terrible ones. How do places become people? American flags give way to the floor. Lilac flowers line the rail yard. Mass graves where the cars are rusted and piled like sticks. How do they do that? It feels like a miracle. And I kid you not, actual in the flesh swamp gator. Stoops with people, stoops by themselves, a big off-colored square of disturbed earth next to a stoop. The only thing left, I suppose. Spongy trees bulging at the waterline, woohoo white girls and raspy old black men singing of liberation and asking for tips. Must it always be so violent? This land of milk and honey and burlesque dancers, this transformation and rebirth, trial by fire, what even is brimstone? I hope it tastes good. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, I cannot live on bread alone, but liquor will do just fine. Baptize me in joy and kisses and let me perish in this place, become person, where the if you have to ask you'll never know music rings from the street corners and real estate agents hawk hauntings like your new house comes with a free friend.
All right, quick round of applause for all 5 readers. All right, so we have 2 amazing readers tonight, Maya Pindyck and Julian Randall. Very, very excited to hear from these folks. It's always interesting, right? There's a little bit of loss end up sort of together for this series. You know, it's largely like, who's available at what time? And then like, I look at the work together and I'm like, oh, it's so good. Like, how did this happen? So I'm super excited to hear these two folks, both individually and hear their work in conversation with each other. All of their work is so of and beyond the body, so of the world and beyond the world, so in love with the world and its like awfulness and amazement. And I'm just so thrilled to have you both here with me and us. I'm so selfish about it. Here with me tonight for my personal amusement and enjoyment and edification. These poets, ridiculous. Okay, Maya, I'm going to ask you to read first, if that's cool. Maya Pindyck's most recent book, Impossible Belonging, which is available on the back table for purchase afterwards, won the 2021 Philip Levine Prize for Poetry, a recipient of a National Endowment for the Arts Fellowship and a Poetry Society of America Chapbook Fellowship. She is also the author of the poetry collections Emoticoncert and Friend Among Stones, and co-author of the education textbook, A Poetry Pedagogy for Teachers. Probably applicable to some teachers in the room. I know we've got some teaching artists with us tonight. She lives in Philadelphia, where she is an assistant professor and director of writing at Moore College of Art and Design. Please give a big roar welcome to Maya Pindyck.
Who just came up and shared your work. I feel like I'm left with bees and a lot of different images and layers. Yeah, it's really great to be here. I'm going to go ahead and read from Impossible Belonging, which came out in January. And yes, it is. It's a long process, right? Like writing a book. And so I was thinking back to these, so many of the poems I wrote when my daughters were. One was, now she's 8, she was between 3 and 5, and my other daughter was a toddler, and I feel like my experiences as a mother shaped so much my lens on a lot of the issues that this book takes up. So it's really a book about the ways we belong or fail to belong to our bodies, to our histories, to the natural world, to our sense of culture, to each other. And my daughter's language was also like surfacing a lot in this book. So the first poem starts with really a story that she told me that I just was like, all right, thank you for the poem. Winter Day Transcription. Once there was a forest, and the forest had a wolf who waited for girls to pass by. One girl came, and the wolf ate her. And she saw his lungs and no bones. But then she climbed the bones, and the bones appeared. She died in the wolf's body. She got out before she died. When she got back in, well, she didn't go back in. She died at the entrance. It was the year of the dog. So I removed the unthawed placenta from my freezer 2 years too late. And instead of burying it with my moon blood beneath the dogwood, as the 4 white women advised, I flung it far into the mouth of a rabid hound, searching for scraps of bone, anything, my body. Violent, said the women from their hedges. Soil is a more spiritual choice. Shit crusting my daughter's flesh and the howling upturning everything we've buried. The dead stars alight with watching. You are my only one. To the Israeli woman who worried her daughter's doll spoke Arabic. But it was not necessarily Arabic. More like a chortle of vowels begging for companionship or maybe to be left alone. But she loves her doll and the button on his chest. But it was your twin, flowing out his mouth into the valley and the sea that laps your spongy tongue. But it was necessarily Arabic. And though my grandfather arrived to Palestine from Aleppo, you said he would cry if I ever married an Arab. But isn't language how we come to love a home that baffles the scaffolds making us we? But your children, look at them. Build a fort and inside it share an omelet. But you named them light and variation on light. But this room already forgot whose idea, whose hands, whose before, but the orange tree. But the string of sounds beads a rosary, pulling spheres across your skin. But our blood inside its tribe stains this place we petrify. Parental error in the Anthropocene, and there were a lot. My daughter wants to touch a real-life flower, the kind where purple smells of summer's chest, heaving, dewy breath. Obsessed with accidental death, I grab her grasping hand. Don't pull, to teach her something about power. The flower seems unbothered, but I cling to my good lesson. One stalk yanked, a world gone. Yawn. I can already feel my words turning against us. Her hand suddenly unsure how to touch. So this is another poem that when my daughter Noah was 4, we were living in Brooklyn and she was at a Jewish preschool, and she would come home telling a lot of Jewish stories, or kind of retelling them in these really inaccurate and wild and amazing ways. And so there was one day she was sitting on my lap and telling me these stories, and I was like, let me get a marker, and just trying to write down what she was saying, and it pieced together into this poem. So I owe about 83% of the language to Noah for this one. This is an Old Testament. The Jews put God in jail for being in the night without them. And for believing the oil burned for 10 nights, not 8. And even though one Jew was mean, and another Jew was mean, and another, they helped God stand up in the dirt so that God could become 100 years old, then infinity years old, then back to 0. They remembered a wailing baby made from stories and starlight again and again. This was before the war turned them against their whiter neighbors, the browner ones too, before they could see God spreading inside their enemies with impossible belonging. Truth is the earth where the window comes. The railroad rolled up the child's tongue. It was their own grief they remembered. Grief is the God, and the God filled the grief. I feel like kids just get it. So this poem is, so I had 2 C-sections, and I remember reading Kevin Young's gorgeous poem Crowning in the New Yorker back in 2014, or I don't know if you remember this poem, but it's this beautiful moment of crowning, right? This moment of childbirth. And after I had my daughters, my sister's a doctor, and I was like, what's the word for when a baby comes out via C-section? Like, what's the word for crowning via C-section? And she's like, yeah, there's no word for that. And I was like, okay. So then I kind of asked this at a reading a couple months ago, and someone's like, it's just birth, or it's emergente, or like, what's the language? So I kind of leave it to us to think of like, what's the language for experiences that we don't have language for, or maybe not sufficient language for. So this is my way of my own crowning poem, Crowning via C-section. There's no word in our culture for the moment you arrive, bursting out my abs, sudden light, behind the paper curtain. Blood-filled version of Rockeisers, the world would split open, a rose enters this world miraculous. As slit of scissors parts sea of flesh, your ready body lifted from its intestinal nest. Oh, daughter, eyes sealed, still dreaming of your life within, as the nurse whisks you past my craned neck. Now I know what Romeo must have felt, seeing that first flash of Juliet before she disappeared into the crowd. How futile any attempt to stitch back a body cut open for love's necessary tear. Your birth tracks burning there. This next poem is in memory of Pat Vitiello, who passed away April 2019. She was a friend and my landlord in Brooklyn. Regrets upon hearing of her death. If only I brought her the dark chocolate in time. If only more pears. If only I visited. If only my last text to her wasn't, the frittata is made of eggs, challah, cumin, milk, in case you need to know the ingredients. If only I thought to plant flowers. If only her daughters came sooner. If only another year or 2 days. If only more neighbors knew. If only peaches were in season. If only I could see time bend and rear its head. If only a hand to smooth her hair. So we have some educators in the house, and one of my favorite poetry exercises is one that probably many of you have done some version of this, bringing in a fruit or some vegetable or something to sort of sensorily engage. And so I bring in a blackberry with my students, and we look at the blackberry, and we take notes, and we listen to the blackberry, and we smell the blackberry, and we eat the blackberry, and then we write a poem. So this is Blackberry. Meadow night's guts, smash of river engorged. Voldemort's good heart, if he only knew. My true Jew, black with life. Pimple-bushed, lucky pluck. You who sees through all your eyes. After you turn to tooth-caught grain, do you still have your dream in you? And I'm just going to close with one last poem. This is the last poem in the collection, Present Tense. Today I am my sister's sister, my father's brow, my mother's squirm, urging my spirit to light. I touch my abdomen, each daughter's doorway, opened for a few fluorescent minutes, then sewn shut, for good, if not for now. I remain here even when my form bruises, blooms, or falls away by way of what it does or does not say. Instead of saying, it's getting out of hand, won't you say, I need it in my hand? Won't you say, my hand? A A cardinal startles. I do not mistake it for another red thing. The flower on the soup bowl's bottom, blurred by golden croutons. With twitch of beak and eye, the bird returns me to any tree, a family. Thank you.
Julian Randall is a living queer Black poet from Chicago, a recipient of multiple fellowships. Julian is the winner of the Pushcart Prize. He holds an MFA in poetry from the University of Mississippi. His writing has appeared in New York Times Magazine, Poetry, and The Atlantic. He's the author of Refuse, winner of the Cave Canem Poetry Prize, and a finalist for an NAACP, why can't I say NAACP? Image Award. The Pilar Ramirez Duet, and The Dead Don't Need Reminding essays. He can be found at Julian the Poet and on his website, juliandavidrandall.com. Please join me in welcoming Julian Randall.
What's good, y'all? How y'all feeling? Yo, can we give it up for Maya one more time? I know I have to follow that.
I believe in you.
I believe. Thank you, yo. Hopefully, I can believe in me too. I'm gonna start this timer so I don't get anxious. All right, cool. Gonna read some new stuff and some old stuff and probably make some jokes that may or may not land in the middle. Son of a bad. I must become a menace to my enemies. June Jordan. History only becomes more unmanageable the longer that it goes on. This is America, and that is precisely the problem. I'm singing from the intersection of the relevant centuries. I am doing something mean to what they have made. Consider, I am the last of the polite requests. I am the last of the unsick earth. I am the last of the ones who were stolen or who stole themselves. I know. I cannot give you back your violence, only the promise of kudzu. Oh, shelter that stars, I say, want, softly, but trust, I mean to kill the entire field. I am sung from the fault line in a national morality. I would tell you the story straight, but I have been too generous with my blood already. Suffice to say, I am the son of a plural. I legion, my name is a consequence because we are many, archival erosion. I arrived bedecked and nasty. I arrived 808 Hull songs with no lyrics. I want you to hear me. I am lush with fugitives. From a series of dirty black eternities, from a series of merciless summers, I ride, I ride, I ride, I write to unblood the soil. I bang a song unabashed in the silence between what ought to be and what happened. Taste what is sharp when you need most badly to remember me. I am telling you as directly as gravity allows, there are miles of threat and I am one of them. When you hold the knife, observe it with your eyes, that tenderness you must have plucked from somewhere, from someone. The blade beholds me in a way that briefly makes us cousins. Circumstance wets me across years and oceans. I gleam. I am a menace gowned by rumors. I'm your ghost story. You know which one. Flinch praise, I am bad on both sides. You pressed me against a headstone and I laughed a warpland laugh as your house collapsed behind you. Sorry, brief pause. This next section holds a content warning for suicidality that I forgot to get at the top, so I want to give people a second. Everybody good? Okay, cool. To unwish the tragedy is to unwish myself. I have unwished myself for less. Despite my best efforts, I am the son of this concept too. Once there was a train. I wrote it even though I meant for it to wear me the end of history as I could change it. Instead, I live. I draw each hotter breath on this planet, in this place which I imagine will be the last to know when the war climaxes, though to me, this is the only place it could have begun. I mistake a magnolia petal for the wing my great-grandfather could have been, and how long until all my dead are the same beauty. At my worst, I am begging the flood, my superheated ancestral. I am trusting a strength I invented in a language that has taken me everywhere but home. I do not know what it is to truly want to survive, only what it is to want to outlive, to want back what is owed. Oh, majesty, oh, knuckles knitting into the familiar. The end is whatever tenderness I might sow in the wake of my vengeance. From those acres of ungovernable grief, the horns rose like gulls, some notes tethered to the sky and others to the heat. The enemy is urgent with guilt, and in this history, a boy is blowing his notes on a cauterized landscape. I can see why everyone my father has ever loved once dressed like the moon. I'm the son of a bad man, but the song cracks where I would have had a father. Fine, I am fathered by the fire then. Regardless, I am born. I am changing the you here. I am pivoting toward what some I love cannot follow. I leave the smoldering gate of a house in my wake. If you can follow here, where the unimaginable became the survived, I mean you bad. The oceans will stop short of wherever we stand. Our name is the living and the dead, for we are many, and what we are is a technology lost to the enemy. Oh, my tender legion. For you, I give my name to what we once called history or war or country when it saved us to feign worship of what was inflicted. If I have any allegiance left, I pledge it to the fugitives. What was sung on the run to what I cannot call hope. Daughters, sons, children, consequences, survivals, bullets that missed, bullets that returned, miles of wings. Name then ourselves if history is truly dead. I am glad to spend what lies beyond the dominion of time with you. We rode a golden raft through an unstable idea to the other side of nation. We turned the river, and this is where it stopped. I am writing to you from a geography where we suffered a bad light and survived because we were badder praise. I gold the field in the wind, which plays my parents' music, and it is the song where the boy says he is the son, and I am talking to my mother in this place she dreads and knocks pearls for. She worries, and yet she trusts I am even badder than my daddy. And I am not always merciful, but I have reached the light, and what the news tells me is the end of time. In this language I culled from the razor, today I am the mother of everything. Cool, all right, so this is the only book of poems that I've written thus far. That one's not out yet, and that's why I'm reading it off of a plaything. And yeah, I don't have any copies with me tonight, but I have been getting to spend a little bit more time with this book of recent, and it's nice to come back and kind of be greeted by an old friend in that way. So let's just keep the smoke going. Obama wants to be clear about his legacy. Let me be clear as a water stain on glass, nearly window but not bulletproof. I want some things to always be constant. Legacy is muzzled by history with good reason. Let me be clearer still. A persistent film of dew on dying grass. Opacity is a form of treason. I gut envelopes with a thin gold, and sometimes my own dead face unspools, and men in suits rush in because it would be a tragedy if I remembered I was someone who could die. Let me be clear. My blood necessitates repetition. I am gone, I am gone, I am gone. I am grateful that the room was round, or I would have dented it with my screams. Gratitude is a kind of violence. I say thank you, and that yawns into a bomb. Everything I do with a grace which has only ever been described as bestial, a gazelle or a swan. I'm a precise kind of fugitive. When I was born, history struck. I lacquered my palms with the silence, and I think it's impossible not to miss it. Despite everything, I give white people hope. Nothing will ever demand me to be this merciless again. Let's do another do this one. I was like strolling through, and I was like, oh wait, no, I rock with this one. I bang this. I think the only thing that you need to know is that my friend has a equally fucked up sense of humor as me and sent me a list of old-timey racist phrases that we had forgotten about. And Black people sometimes used to be referred to by the people who thought they owned us as moon crickets because we sung songs out in the fields at night. Moon cricket. I have been living despite myself. My territory hemmed by mud and threat of mud. If there is a land without its own subliminal violences, this night offers no defense of what has died in it. Some things are only nourished in a stutter of kudzu and the inconsistencies of silver the moon shuts off. Casual machines honey the dark with the monotony of their health, while one theory of soil chokes out another. See? No land without violence. I've been staving off the obvious. It is dark, and so am I. Earlier heat makes me lush with failed stars, and I tell the homies living in Mississippi is like living on the moon. And that what I mean by that is every day brings several weathers, and I am never dressed for any of them. Kudzu in the right light is like a gold front on a disintegrating tooth. Since I got here, I have not ridden any throat that was not straddled by something uninvited. The ground is brimming with sirens and children of sirens. I have been living in an idea of dark come from another man's mind. Watching the rain loose inconvenient silk, imagining what lives in the soil, the asphalt choked out. If the clouds are the capital city of a country of perfect memory, then I am afraid. No ocean formed against me will abandon me. Lately, the stars are dim, so I count the niggas I wish would try me. I have walked into the dark seeking a saddle and emerged with merely hands. I rock a trampled violet, play moonlight in reverse. Blue with desire, I antithesis the lineage. I do not leave because how will I get home? I have been here before. Flesh, tenured, desperation. Escape, like night, demands recursion. Opaque as land before a man bridled the light. I am lonely in the season that widows everything. I have been waiting to tender the moon face in ancestral purple. I have been mothering a rage when I forget how to say escape. My favorite songs in any year all translate to run or mine. I am at my most named in the dark. Sing into a parallel quiet. Name the song for the tether it casts, pleading silver toward a geography of light we barely name. I reach my hand out to a space of no stars where the clouds have torn like cotton. I forget how much I love a song which muscles the silence. How much I would give for a grammar of no slaves. Oh, historical dead. I am come from your unlanguaged apocalypse like an ugly and deserved weather. Watch me eclipse their dark with my own. Watch me, citizen, the absence of your names. Alright. Putting this up there because it is, while I do not care about Coachella, I do care deeply about my brother, husband, Frank Ocean.
Yes.
And obviously, and naturally, people are out here wilding once again, like we didn't go through all these years. So with that, the search for Frank Ocean, or a brief history of disappearing. Fucking pig gets shot, 300 men will search for me. Frank Ocean. A drought does not name itself in anything but the splintering of skin into a series of wanting rivers and the cities that gave all that water a name as if it were kin. As if July were not slow piano and crimson all over the street. And I guess you could call this a war in the way only who can be seen is alive and maybe not even that. August prepares its heavy gown for our shoulders, and I have nothing to sing but the heat. On the screen, 2 trends. Hashtag Baton Rouge Police. Hashtag Where's the album, Frank? Happy June 222nd. Happy anniversary, Frank. Maybe Frank was never even there. This album definitely not done. Frank need to come home. This gay ass nigga gonna break our hearts again, and all I want is a song. This nigga a lie. He fixed his mouth and nothing spills out. Frank might be dead, y'all. Frank might be dead, y'all. Another nigga gone missing. Happy June 225th. I swear he never coming back. I swear I saw him. I swear it's been summer for 3 years. A name is something you surrender in parts if you are lucky. I am not much more beyond that which traces the borders of me into a bed in mid-July. I am not much more than my secrets. Boy says bye and his tongue splits. Boy says bye and his mouth becomes public property. Boy says bye and belongs nowhere. Boy says bye and now none of his gods return his call. A body gets silent and it is either haunted or it will be. A body gets silent and everybody can sing it dead. A body gets silent and is named after the silence to forget it was ever a boy. A silence inundates my throat and there is more than one way to have a boy in your mouth. The body is a glass home. I am somewhere I used to live. Fragile and nearly translucent, opaque, only where smoke tongues me into the illusion of shelter. I shatter into more me. I was gonna do a different one, but now I kind of want to close. Yeah, let's close on this one. The Zero Country. Bullets, starved of their true purpose, rust in the cradle like poorly gilded acorns, was the beginning to a failed poem about my mother. I pirouette, I blossom light, I thick of sweat, Mississippi, uncertain sky, and nowhere to be desired, this consistently, oh, I know a collision of imaginings. Here I was a thing that people said, oh my, and never finished the sentence. What was meant was said. I'm delaying the season of bruised light as if it were not born in the azure of one thirst wrestling down another. I pledged allegiance to an impossibility. I swore to my mother I would not die here, and she said, how many men? Now I base heavy, likely Hoya, likely beast, swelter, shadow where a man should be hammering me into a ring. What did we know? What did we know of the men that happened between the cotton? Boy after boy, honey sharp against me, and I ignore them all because I'm not sure I love living, but I mind dying less than I mind being made a liar. A mother then, how I miswrote a thing I could not see, and still the moral was creation. Oh, language, oh, what exactly was I searching for, and how did I fail it? What, even in our other South, Bariguayo, eyes along the wall, what surveillance cradles the biggest knife, my knees stiff, and I am of the enemy in one South, and among the enemy in another. Oh, language, oh, parallel invocations, aperture gleaming to either side of the undeniable body, this one, with which more than once I have taken to my knees in the dark and hauled the sound out of a man an inch at a time. Here, where in the season before this South, my mother said, Mississippi, said, how many, said, I would sooner kill you myself, what's left? That was then. Now, magnolias, brief brides, grenade blooms to bell, blooms to a tree swollen with dresses, and I could have been beautiful here, I think. Oh, binary, binary, I repeat the knife to mirror as the boy reaches for me in the bright light of the gas station. I am already done with want, or I fumbled desire, or I said no and parched my mouth with how much I meant. It depends who you ask. I, endless legion of rain, or I, hummingbird cuffed to thirst, barren flute, in the country where what I am is a synonym for owned. I am a city you can drown in, but only if I go first. Oh my, the cotton calls as I pass through. Oh my, moans the boy plunging into his not me. Oh, isolation, my salve, my saliva, the shiniest of gibberish strings my yawn, a defunct harp. I'm safe. Ultimately, I repeat, and it becomes my gender. I turn my hands to me, small mercy, that what I invite will end me. Oh my, I pledge in the cleaver state. I blade, then kiss the gap beside me.
tonight in Ada. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. There's no open mic, there's no preparation for that. And we're super grateful to have you here with us. That is our show for this evening. Please hang around, make a poetry friend. I made a new playlist. It's heavy on 90s hip hop. I don't even know what that's about, but it just is what is happening. There are beverages in the back. Be wonderful, be safe. I'll see you next month.